New York, the stage of global politics. Every September, presidents and prime ministers fly here to address the United Nations General Assembly. The cameras roll, the flags wave, the world pretends to listen. But this year, something different happened. Something no one expected. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young revolutionary president of Burkina Faso, refused to speak. He rejected the stage. He rejected the insult. He rejected the empty chairs that have always greeted African leaders. And his words shook not just Africa, but the entire world. When the leaders of the West address the General Assembly, the hall is full, every seat occupied. Heads of state lean forward to listen. Applause rings out after every sentence. But when African leaders take the same podium, the scene changes. The hall is nearly empty. Delegates walk out. Heads are turned away. The voice of Africa echoes into silence. Traoré asked, "Who hears us? Who will ever hear us? If this is how the world treats Africa, why should I speak to empty chairs? Why should Africa continue to humiliate itself in this chamber of selective respect?" Traoré declared, "The world will never hear Africa until Africa itself is united." For 20 long years, Africa has begged for permanent seats on the UN Security Council, begged for recognition, begged for respect, and for 20 years, the answer has been silence. Why? Because the world does not care. Africa remains divided, weak, and voiceless. But Traoré's message is clear. We don't need to beg for seats. We need to build our own table. We don't need pity. We need unity. That is why Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger created the Alliance of Sahel States, a new alliance, born not out of submission, but out of resistance. The hypocrisy is clear for all to see. When Western nations need Africa's gold, they come running. When they want uranium, oil, cobalt, lithium, suddenly Africa is important. They will negotiate, they will flatter, they will exploit. But when Africa speaks for justice, when Africa cries out for fairness, they turn away, they do not listen. This is the hypocrisy that Traoré rejected. This is why he refused to waste his words in a hall that never respected him in the first place. He did not stop there. He turned his voice directly toward his fellow African leaders. His challenge was bold and uncompromising. Stop betraying the continent. Stop selling Africa for crumbs. Stop being used by foreign powers against your own people. Join the Alliance of Sahel States. Stand with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and the world will finally hear us. He reminded them, if we remain divided, our voices will remain silent. But if we unite, the world cannot ignore us. For decades, Africa has been promised reform. In 2005, they promised. In 2015, they promised again. In 2023, the same words repeated. Africa must have representation. Yet nothing has changed. The Security Council, the most powerful table in global politics, remains closed to Africa. 54 nations, 1,400,000,000 people, endless resources. And still, Africa has no permanent seat. This is not reform. This is not fairness. This is not respect. This is humiliation. Traoré's rejection of the UN stage is not weakness. It is strength. It is courage. It is a declaration of independence. Africa must rise on its own. Africa must defend itself with its own armies, its own alliances, its own voice. This is why the Sahel Alliance matters. This is why African unity is no longer a dream, it is survival. Traoré speaks not only for Burkina Faso, but for every young African who refuses to be silent. He speaks for the miners digging cobalt, for the farmers working the land, for the students dreaming of a future free from exploitation. He speaks for a continent that is tired of waiting for permission. And now the question is no longer about Captain Ibrahim Traoré. It is about us, Africans, leaders, youth, workers, students. Are we ready? Will we continue to beg for respect, or will we finally demand it? Will our leaders continue to bow their heads for crumbs, or will they stand tall with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to reclaim Africa's destiny? If you speak to an empty hall, your words die. But if you speak with Africa united, the world will tremble. This is bigger than one speech. This is bigger than the United Nations. This is the call of history. Traoré has lit the fire. He has refused humiliation. He has called for unity. The only question is, will Africa answer? Will Africa rise? Or will Africa remain silent in the empty halls of the world? The choice is ours. Africa must unite. And when it does, the world will listen.
Hello Africa, brothers and sisters, welcome back to Make Africa Great. In this video, we are going to look at the reason behind leaders in Sahel refused to attend the UN General Assembly. You know that this week African leaders joined world leaders to attend the UN General Assembly in New York. Among of leaders who we expected to attend are leaders from Sahel. I mean President Ibrahim Traore, President Chian of Niger, President Goita. But these leaders rejected to attend the summit. The reason behind is because the voice of Africa is not heard. When African leaders are speaking, no one is listening. Look here, my dear brothers and sisters. This is when President Ruto was speaking. You look, chairs are empty. You see, chairs are empty. So, and in the speech of President Ruto, Ruto spoken very well, called the form of UN Security Council, asked these powerful nations to allow Africa to sit on the decision table. But look, no one is listening. So we are just addressing empty seat. I was watching when President Trump was addressing the UN General Assembly. The hall is full, but when African leaders are speaking, no one listens. That's why President Traore, President Goita, and President Chiani said we cannot go there until the dignity of African or Black people is being restored, or until Africa is being respected. African leaders for 2 decades or 20 years, you can say like that, have been asking, if not begging, for the permanent seat in the UN Security Council. But these powerful nations said, no, you Africa, you are a supplier of raw material, remain where you are. There's no opportunity for you to come into the negotiation table. I remember 2 years ago, 2023, Joe Biden, the President of the United States of America, said he would support Africa to have a permanent seat in the UN Security Council with no veto power. The question is, how can you invite someone on the dinner table and not for eating, just for observing those who are eating? What does that mean? So we cannot have permanent seat in the UN Security Council with no veto power, while others can decide and neutralize the decision of many. If you look at the continent of Africa, with a population of 1.4 billion people, if not more than that, with 54, if not 55 nations, has no representation in the UN Security Council, especially in the UN Security Council. 8 years of United Nations, Africa still excluded. And that's why President Traore, President Chian, and Goita said, this is imbalancing. We cannot go to UN to address empty chairs the way we see here. You may ask yourself, Why when Trump is speaking, everyone is listening? When European countries are speaking, why the world is listening? But when it comes to Africa, no one care about us. No one listen about us. I was listening speeches of world leaders. They're not talking about the issue of Sudan. They're not talking about the issue of Sahel. They're not condemning France for what's happening in Sahel. But they're condemning Israel, they're condemning Russia, but no one touching France. No one condemning US General Langley for accusing our beloved leader Traore for using God's love to protect himself. No one did that. But you heard, it means the voice of Africa, no one cared. No one heard our voices. So how can you convince a brave leader like Traore to attend this useless meeting? Traore said, I will not go there. I will send representatives. I'll continue with my tasks here in my country, in my continent, instead of going there. And that's why one time leaders such as, I remember Dr. Alkana Chombo and Professor Pierre Lumumba, even Joshua Maponga, a farmer of thought, argued and suggested there's a need for African leaders to withdraw from United Nations. And recently you heard the issue of Sahel withdrawn from ICC, International Criminal Court. It's because Africa is not, the voice of Africa is not heard. When it comes to issue that is touching Africa, the world don't care. But when it comes to the issues, they want Africa to be part of the issues. And that's why you see Traore, Goita, and Achan said enough is enough. The question is, Africa, will we be included into decision making in the near future? Because if we have taken, it has taken 80 years. Now we are celebrating 80 years of United Nations. No permanent seat for the for Africa in the UN Security Council. 20 years ago, Africa asked the UN officially that let us include us to be part of decision making. 20 years it has taken Africa to beg, if not asking, to sit on the negotiation table or decision table. So do you see in the near future these powerful nations will accept Africa if it has taken 80 years of the United Nations and 20 years of begging? Do you see in 1 year, 5 years to come, the UN will reform the United Nations Security Council? Let me tell you, when Trump was speaking, the president of France was there, who is also a permanent member of the UN Security Council. France was there. Trump himself, he was there speaking. The UK Prime Minister was there. Putin, he didn't attend, Putin, what is going on with Putin. Xi Jinping didn't attend it. Only 2 leaders were not there. 3 of them were there. So look, when President Ruto was speaking, there was no representative of Russia, there's no representative of UK, there's no representative of France, there's no US, there's no Russia. So we are speaking with people who have no decisions. And that's why they are ignoring us. When we are speaking, they're moving out of the hall. No one listening Africa. No one care about our words. We are just losing our energy and resources to go there. And that's why, as I said, some African leaders have been suggested there's no need for us to attend this useless meeting. Maybe we have to form our own organization, strong, not African one that we have that is being sponsored by the same people. We need to have our own organization that will unite Africa, bring all Africans together, and speak with one voice. Right now, we are not speaking with one voice. If you listen, all African leaders are speaking about reform of the UN Security Council, reform that, but what action are we going to take if it will take another 20 years? Because we have been asking this issue for 20 years, 2 decades, but not happened. What will we do if it will take another 20 years? It's almost now 80 years since the formation of the UN, and no Africa country or representative of Africa in the UN Security Council. What will we do if this trend will continue? That's why we are saying the only solution for Africa to be respected and to restore the dignity of Black people is to unite. Without unity, to have many leaders speaking, providing good speeches, speaking at the UN General Assembly, everyone coming with their speeches, it will not change anything. These powerful nations will continue with their own agendas, they will continue with their own issues. They don't care about us. If you have listened, what world leaders have spoken, no one spoken about the issue of DRC. These powerful nations, they didn't talk about DRC. They didn't talk about Sudan. Right now, Sudan is burning. They didn't talk about Sahel. They didn't talk about Zimbabwe. That Zimbabwe is under sanction. People who committed nothing. Today we have young people who have more than 20 years who don't understand what happened in the previous, but they're suffering because of these sanctions. No one talking about that. So do you see these people give us permanent seats in the UN Security Council? Now we are talking about, we have a lot of agendas as Africa, of course. We don't have a single agenda. We have a lot of agenda. Right now we are shifting to reparation. Even reparation will not be paid because no one sees the importance of Africa. No one cares about our voices. No one cares about what we are saying. Because when we are speaking, they're not there. They're busy with their own issues. We need to find the way when we speak as Africa, the world is standing. The world is not moving. We need to speak and shake the world. And to do so, we need to unite. The day Africa will come together and unite, that's the day the world will stop moving in the direction that is keeping Africa behind. So if we can decide, I don't know what is happening to our leaders. Of course, they speak very well, good English, good speeches. They know how to arrange their speeches. But when it comes to unity, to come together, to make decisions, that's where we fail. And we are already manipulated. I've been saying they use elections, they use democracy to manipulate Africans. When you become maybe angry, people are saying, no, you are not democratic, you are not this, you are militant, that's what they're telling us. But all in all, we will not be respected until we come together. My dear lovely family, brothers and sisters, after that I have no more to share with you. Let me say have a nice time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me in this moment. And it's my hope that I will hear a lot from you. You will share a lot of things from what you heard in this video. And also, you may help us to share this. And if you're new, make sure that you subscribe to join this big family of Make Africa Great. And also, you share this message to other Africans who are here in the continent and to those who are in the diaspora. I love you, my dear lovely family here in the continent, and to you who are in the diaspora. This is the place where we come together as Africans to share our thoughts, ideas, and to find the best solutions for our challenges. These things is not acceptable. Let us change this. No one will respect and hear our voices if we continue to be under division. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, freedom. Africa.